Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be my top 12 favorite Sydney Grace single eyeshadows. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we are doing another video in my indie eyeshadow palette week, and I've compiled a palette today with my top 12 favorite Sydney Grace single eyeshadows. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I will be swatching these out for you and show you those a little bit more close up as well. So that's what I have in store for you today. But before we get into the video, I would like to introduce myself for people who may not know who I am or what I like doing on this channel. My name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool neutral undertone. I've been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love my eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. And my day job is actually teaching. So this is just something I do on the side. So I hope you're here to follow my journey. And if you'd like to consider subscribing, that would greatly help out the channel. So thank you very much in advance if that's what you're currently doing. We are going to be talking about Sydney Grace. So I've put them all in my little Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. And I've just selected the 12 shades from Sydney Grace that I have in my singles collection that I love. I will be talking about Sydney Grace again in a different video later this week. However, I just really enjoy Sydney Grace for their singles. If there is a makeup brand that, if you were to ask me, Maaike, where do I find good single eyeshadows? I would go Sydney Grace. They do sales twice a year. They do a Christmas in July sale every year in July. And then around Black Friday, they also do a sale. I think they do some other sales throughout the year, and they've got codes with influencers and stuff. And they just do some really lovely things. I think that the majority of my single eyeshadow collection, save for like some special sparkly multi-chrome things, most of it is Sydney Grace, because they are just my favorites. And I will be swatching all of these out for you. I've got some mattes in here and a bunch of their shimmers, because let's just be real here, that's what I love the most. So we're gonna start here at the top left corner, and then we're just gonna make our way like this, and we'll talk about it. Let's get to it. First things first, the first shade in here is the shade Tiara. And Tiara is, I think, described as a shiny taupe. And taupes can be so difficult to find. It is a little bit more of like a warmer taupe. It's got a little bit of gold running through it, but it's very intense, incredibly shiny. It's just really stunning. I really enjoy this eyeshadow for sure. For a while there, I was actually doing a series where I build like a custom palette every single month and play with it and do all that. And Tiara never really made the cut because it's so vibrant that I don't really even, like, it's so intense that I'm like, I don't really necessarily want to put that all month over my lid. But it's just a really excellent shade if you're looking for that really vibrant, like champagne kind of thing, but you want it to be a taupe. Tiara is the one for you. Next up is the shade Troops, which is Tiara, but then a little bit more muted in terms of its shimmer level. And it's got like a pinky rose undertone, which is why I really enjoy it. Essentially, the first three shimmers I have here for you are renditions of taupes. And that's just something that I love Sydney Grace for. They just do so many really good cool tones. And Troops was part of a collection they did that was like military inspired, I believe. I have another one of their shades in here. It's actually right below it here. And they just did a couple of really good shades in there, so I picked those up. But Troops is one that I have definitely used. It's like, you can see like Tiara just like boom, shine. And this is just a little bit more muted, so it's a little bit more wearable. Together, like, they are really great if you wear them together as well. Next up is the shade Somber, and Somber is like your classic gray tone taupe. Like, Tiara has a bit more warmth, Somber has a little bit more of a gray base to it. And I just really enjoy that shade as well. It's not something that I ended up wearing a lot because it was perhaps a touch too grain toned. That's one of the downsides of shopping online. I was like, if we could make a mix of like Tiara and Somber, but that's what I intend to do. If I use these two shades, Somber as a base and dabbing a bit of Tiara on top for the extra shine, and you're good to go. So Somber is a really nice taupe shimmer for sure. One of my favorite mattes by the brand is this shade here. This is Regal, and Regal is like a very good, soft, muted, heather lavender kind of shade. It's not quite mauve because it is a little bit too gray leaning, but this is just perfect to put into the crease when you're doing a purple look. I just really enjoy it. Very soft, very smooth, very buttery, very blendable, and I adore it for that reason. Then the sort of taupey version of Regal is Concrete Road, which is right here. It's stunning. It's like the perfect taupe transition shade. And I remember back when I was doing this series where I was building palettes, I was always gravitating towards this shade because it's just such a good matte for the crease for my skin tone. It just works really, really well, incredibly smooth, incredibly buttery, and I really enjoy that shade. Then in terms of to have a bit more color in here as well, you could say, I have some green tones in here, some blue tones, and some purpley bits. So the first green we have in here is the shade Cadet, and Cadet is a shade that, how should I describe it? It's like an olive green. Yeah, I would say, yeah, an olive green is the best way to describe it, but it's a shimmer. Very often olive greens are mattes and they pull very cocky and they have a lot of brown to them, but this is a more gray toned version of a cocky and I just love it for that reason. This shade is incredibly special. I've had it for a while. It was one of the first Sydney Gray shades I ever purchased, and it's the shade Winter Garden, which is living in my purple palette if I'm not mistaken, but it's like a very soft lilac lavender with a blue flip. It's very pretty, very stunning. It works really well by itself as an inner corner highlight or as the center of the lid in a halo eye, but I've also used it to top over things. It's just an incredibly versatile shade. If you get just one, I think Winter Garden is like the must-have in this palette. It looks like nothing in the pan, but it's incredibly stunning. Then the shade Fierce is one of my favorite blue tone purples. I love a blurple. Okay, I just do, and this is that shade. I used to have a nail polish that was this, and I completely fell in love. I was a teenager, I was like 14, but shades like this have always pulled me in. It is very vibrant and intense, but I just love this kind of thing. It's blue, yet purple at the same time. It's just the best of both worlds. So that was my purple pick for this palette, but they have a lot of really good warm tone purples as well. Like Sydney Grace's purple selection is one of the best ones on the market, I feel. Then we have a really nice deeper dark matte, and that's another thing I love about Sydney Grace. They do the deep tones so well, but in a formula that's still very easy to work with. My main issue with dark shades as someone who's incredibly fair is that when it gets too deep, I stop being able to blend things very easily, but this still blends very easily. It's called Pecan Pie. I think it was part of a mystery bag though, so I'm not sure if this is actually still for sale, but it's just like the best cool tone brown that I have in my entire singles collection for sure. Then next to that is Midnight Green, and it's like the deep dark green shimmer of dreams. Like if you want to go for like the holiday season, you want to go for that very nice smoky eye and you don't want to be a gray, then something like Midnight Green can really, really amp things up and take it to the next level. I love shades like that. And then together with Cadet, or maybe something that's even a little bit more gray tone, because I have like a version of like this kind of shade that's even more gray leaning, and it makes for the perfect halo eye. It's just incredibly stunning. Shades like this, these really neat, nice, deep, dark shimmers are the best shades for halo eyes, I find. So that's why I really rate Midnight Green so, so highly. This blue here is Slade, and I actually have a couple of these really intense dark blues from Sydney Grace, and I just love them. I couldn't really pick, but this is special to me because it is so gray toned, but it's gray without being gray, if that makes sense. It still has enough blue that it actually translates like a blue tone on the lid. This again, great for a halo eye. This can actually be used in the center of a halo eye, especially if you put it together with this matte. But this is really stunning on the lower lash line as well. I really, really greatly appreciate it for that. This is so, so pretty. and I've used it a lot in different looks. And then the final shade in the palette here is Indiana Love, which is a really stunning, deep, intense navy matte. And there's just something about navy mattes that I find incredibly difficult because very often when I swatch them on my skin tone, they pull very vibrant. So they look really dark and saturated in the pan, but then I put them on the back of my hand and there's like, but that's just a standard blue. Like it doesn't have the depth I need it to have. But Indiana Love from Sydney Grace doesn't have that issue at all. It's just that perfect, deeper navy without it being too black, without it being too blue, but still being smack in the middle, just perfect. And it's incredibly blendable and smooth. So those are my 12 favorite Sydney Grace single eyeshadows. Because they are one of my favorite indie brands and because a lot of indie brands just do singles really, really well, I wanted to include a singles video here as well. So I hope you got something out of this video today, that you enjoyed it. Thumbs it up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more by me. I have a couple more videos left in my indie eyeshadow palette week, so I hope you'd like to stay tuned for that. And in case you don't know, I hit 10K subscribers, so I'm currently also running a giveaway. So I'll make sure to link the video where I announced that, the giveaway, in the description box down below, if in case you haven't entered just yet. So I really hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!